Well, hello, everyone. Hey, I am so excited to be here with you tonight, not only for another Monday night conversations right here on the Effective Living platform, but I am really so excited even about this particular topic. But before I begin and I introduce my very special guest, I just want to just tell you, isn't it something where we know we can live our life on our own terms? Isn't it so powerful when we know that we have the ability to be able to say, hey, I'm living my life where I don't need to take a vacation from. That means I am being effective in all areas. I'm in pursuit of everything that God has designed for me. I'm taking back everything that the enemy has tried to steal, but even the more, I have nothing missing, nothing lacking, and nothing broken. Woo, that is something exciting. You know what? I always want to give thanks and kudos to my very own Coach Ricardo Miller, for allowing me and my other co-hosts and my partners in crime to be able to have these platforms to share and have these Monday nights conversation. So one of the things I want you to do is like share. Hit the subscribe button. Definitely turn on the notifications when you hear things that's going on and that's happening right here in this community. Because see, effective living is a community where we all is striving and seeking growth. We all striving to go into that next level in life what God has had for us. And we don't want to be able to be set back. We want to be able, what I say, move forward. Even if you feel that you're failing. Hey, we understand, even on this platform, failure is just another opportunity. Oh my God. We're talking about nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. We're talking about in pursuit of our greatness, in pursuit of all what God has for us. That's what this platform is all about. And I'm just really, really so excited because it's a journey. And on this journey, sometimes we can't be an island of one. We need to bring other people along with us. Why? Because when it's something when we're in a community and we're all doing it together. So I just wanted to share that with you. But tonight, this topic tonight is one I'm telling you, you're going to want to get your popcorn. You're going to want to get your notes, your pen, and your paper. Because why? We are going to be talking about unaccomplished goals. You know what? Every year, especially in the month of January, we set our goals, we set up our resolutions, we put those things into motion. And for many of us, we barely even accomplish one goal, never alone do we accomplish multiple goals. And so tonight we want to have a good conversation with my special guest, and I'm going to allow him to introduce himself, about what it is in accomplished goals. I know what it's like for me as an adult, but I want to know, get some of the millennials' point of view tonight and really get some thoughts and ideas as to what goals that was set and whether or not have they even accomplished anything. But then at the same time, what goes on in their mindset, talking about unaccomplished goals. Look, we already know it is the fifth month. Woo! And we know 5 in the Bible means the month of grace. So this whole month of May is the month of grace, but it's the fifth month. And I know there's some things that I have said back in January I have yet to tap into. So we're going to get into this conversation tonight. So we welcome you to put your information inside of the chat. We welcome you to share. We want to see you. And so we can address some, even the comments that you might have, that we can make this conversation even more robust. So with that being due, I want to introduce to you guys my nephew, but at the same time, he is such a dynamic artist. He's such a dynamic individual because not only is he creative in his artistry, but he's a smart one, y'all. I mean, he loves English and he's smart and he's academia. So can you imagine having the two coming together? But I'm going to introduce you to Germaine, and I'm going to let Germaine introduce you and to the audience something a little bit unique about him. So hey, Germaine.
Hey, what's up, y'all? As she said, Germaine, but I go by Armani No One. I always say my name is Armani No One. I am the Renaissance man, the rap viper, and the young aristocrat. And I'm just here to, share some good vibes and some good energy, keep it going.
Keeping it going is what you're doing exactly on today. You know what? Why don't you just really even give me a little bit more as to, how did you get into, because you said you Germaine no one, and how did you get into what you're doing currently right now?
Yeah, well, how did I get into it? Is my mom, just growing up, she always played different records. Like she played like the Dusties, the OJs, then she played, blues. And then, she hopped over and, she was like a big hip hop fan. So she'd play like some Ludacris and, some Notorious B.I.G. And, that's kind of how I kind of got an idea for music. And then slowly but surely, I kind of started like writing, rhyming, secretly rhyming in a corner or something like, yeah. And people be like, what are you writing? What are you writing? And I'll be like, nothing, I'll be back about me. Ooh, and I'll be writing lyrics and kind of like freestyling in my head and kind of writing things down. And then as I kind of got into college, I got the confidence and the courage to, get in the studio and actually write and share my talent and shoot videos and things like that. And I got in the spirit of getting on stage and just bearing it all, giving it all my energy, as a performer. Because
Mhm.
when I am performing, I'm not just standing up there just rapping. I'm actually giving energy, interacting with the crowd, making sure everybody is having a good time and also feeling how I'm feeling, which is great. So and from there, I got the ability to get in the studio and start recording and do shows
Mhm.
and, create visuals and things like that. And here I am today, still pursuing that goal.
You know what? It's interesting that you started off, like you said, from something that you picked up from your mom, but you also was mentioning a little bit about you being academically successful. What is a little bit about that you want to share? You can share to our listening audience tonight.
Um, you know, I graduated from UIC. I got a chance to study abroad, and do an internship abroad. And then from there, as I was studying abroad, I got a chance to visit, a few countries throughout Europe, Paris, Milan, and other places like that. I was in Barcelona. And I also got the chance to explore within UIC. UIC gave me the opportunities to perform for crowds and kind of share my talents and things like that with the
Mhm.
academic community. We would always have like fundraisers or events where they would showcase the people who lived in a certain
Mhm.
dorm and things like that. So it kind of tied like academia to like my music goals.
Okay. All right. So you keep saying music goals. Was that a goal originally, like when you was younger, as a kid? That's something that you have pursued. Because the question I really want to ask you is, do you have any goals that you have set for yourself, maybe like within the last couple of years that you haven't accomplished?
Yes, of course, of course. Just the goal of pursuing my music in general, the goal is to be on your TV screen, be everywhere, be able to share my talent, and, have more people, a mass of people resonate with my music and things like that. So, of course, I'm still pursuing that goal, but, that's the large goal, but, you have to take the smaller goals to get there. And I can say I've made strides with doing so. One major goal I accomplished was, securing a job or like not a job, but securing a career where I'll be able to support my livelihood and my art and not have to kind of starve one of the other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I achieved that goal recently. And your boy is in the game. The other day I just shot a video for my latest single, Sinner X Saint. And that didn't break me. I'm not scrounging for quarters and the couch and things like that. And I can say I've made a lot of progress with that goal.
You know what? One of the things that I know that with our coach we talk about, and especially because the conversation that we're discussing now is coming from the blog, and the blog that he wrote, and he made a very good point where he says that there's a higher level of discipline that one must have in order to accomplish the goal that God has placed within the heart. Now, when you think about And he also said, my life is all about goals. I'm not obsessed with my goals, but I'm committed to my goals. And there's really, really a difference. So why don't you talk to me as a millennial? Because a lot of people might have the mindset that in your age bracket as a millennial, that the discipline might not be there, or even the commitment. What can you say about discipline and commitment?
I can say first, speaking about my generation, or the millennials, the team. Millennials are about their bag, meaning that we're trying to figure out how can we get paid, how can we be successful without demeaning ourselves or kind of bending who we are as people. And that can be very difficult for certain situations. If you're in certain situations, someone has to bend, but we have that pride and that honor to say, I don't like this job that I'm working. I'm going to quit. I'm going to find another job. I may not have,
Mhm.
something lined up or anything like that, but I'm going to take a chance and, leave this job because I'm unhappy with my current situation. And I feel like that is something that, the millennials, we cultivated. Usually it's people would stay in positions and stay in places where they didn't enjoy it at all, and they just did that to make a means. While millennials, we're saying we're going to find a way to the bag, we're going to find a way to get this money, we're going to find a way to be successful, even
Mhm.
if the path is rocky.
So the mindset more about the end result of the financial accomplishment that you can have out of this goal. Is there anything? Do you have any regrets about not receiving or accomplishing any of your goals, or maybe not achieving some of your dreams? Do you have any regrets?
No, I would say no. And that's just me. That's kind of another goal I set for myself, and that's to be kind to yourself and to take your time with things, because I'm so used to, a lot of us, we're so used to being on the go and like running, and I'm not being productive enough. So I need to get this done. I need to get that done. And we kind of beat ourselves down and run ourselves down to the point where we don't know when to relax, since we're always on the go. And I can say that was a huge issue, and a huge goal that I was trying to accomplish was to just be kind and say, okay, you don't have to have 60 million things to do in order to be busy. Even if you've done a few things or you've accomplished a certain amount of goals or a task or something like that, that doesn't take away from who you are overall. So you're able to kind of say, I did that. Like, let me take a break, let me rest, let me understand. And I feel like that way, if you take an approach like that, that kind of weeds out regrets, because if you're regretting, you're kind of looking
Mhm.
back in a negative aspect as well. If you regret something, because you're like, oh, why did I do that? I wish I could change that. So that's negative. It's not kind of um, retrospective, where you actually can think about it and think about what you can gain from it. If you're
Mhm.
thinking about regret, you're thinking about what went wrong and not what you learned from it and what you can do going forward.
You know what you're saying is has a lot of meat to it about when you're talking about regrets. I know that on our platform here in Effective Living, we talk about, balancing our 5 F's. That is our faith, finances, fitness, fun, and family. And in each one of them, you set those relatable goals, or you set the things into action steps into motion. And your desire is to make sure that you live in your life not only on your own terms, but you are in pursuit of something that's bigger and that's greater. And so one of the things that, what you were just saying a few minutes ago about setting the goals where you don't live in regrets. One of the things I know as an adult, sometimes we can fall into traps and have regrets of not accomplishing our dreams. But then we get into the mindset of thinking that it's pretty much over. Have you ever had even as you said it earlier, I think you was telling me before we got on that you started this journey since you was 10 years old. And
Mhm.
so from 10 years old up into where you are now in your mid-20s, you're thinking about that. Is there ever a point in time where you thought that, you know what? I'm not going to even get to the point where you at with your music career, and you just was focused strictly on academia and just said, forget it, I'm not going to accomplish goal, and thought it was over?
No, no. There were points where I kind of was had a low point, and I may have like focused on academia a bit more, but not to say I completely just dropped the music. I always say music kind of was the lifeline for me. You know, it kind of helps me express what I want to do, who I am, how I feel at the moment, you know, what
Mm-hmm.
mood I'm in. And just being an artist, it's hard because there are so many things you have to do, you know, when you're independent. You know, you have to create, you have to, you know, be the casting director, be the creative director, be the editor, be the engineer, be the spokesmodel, be the marketing manager, be the social media manager. You have to have 60 million hats on,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets to a point where you may be overwhelmed. And there were times where I may have been overwhelmed, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come back to this, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to close the door on it. You know, let me
Okay.
take a break. You know, let me go outside and touch some grass or something. You know, kind of having that energy to it, like, oh, I'll come back to this. It's not working, and then in that process, I just left and re-strategized and kind of took a step back and say, okay, what is going on, or what's going wrong? What can I do to do right? So, kind of just mapping out what I wanted to accomplish. Again, the word goals again that come up,
Mm-hmm.
mapping out what do I want to accomplish, how do I want to accomplish it. I have a mirror where I write, little things on the mirror, little plan out
Ooh.
little things across the mirror, and kind of it's a constant visual and a constant reminder to, okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z at a certain time.
Are there any things that you say to yourself as you looking in his mirror? You know, Michael Jackson got the song said, "A Man in the Mirror." And so when you're thinking about you looking back in your own self-reflection, is there anything in that mirror that you say to yourself when you feel that maybe something you is trying to achieve and it's not happening the way you want it to happen?
Yeah, I kind of hype myself up and kind of say, they're tweaking. Like, let's say if I had a record or something, or if I released a song, because there's been times where, I've released something and, people really wasn't vibing or they didn't understand. And, that kind of hurts because, you're an artist. All artists are sensitive about their artwork. And,
Mm-hmm.
I look in the mirror, I'll be like, they tweaking. It's hot. What? It's hot. So kind of just reassuring myself and
Uh-huh.
just saying that everybody can have a difference in opinion, but the way you feel won't take away from the way I feel about this art. But I will
Okay.
respect and kind of acknowledge, take the critiques and things like that, but that won't take away from how I feel about it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening on this Monday night conversation where we are talking about unaccomplished goals. And we know that at the beginning of every year, we set goals and motions, and then, there comes a times where life itself begins to interfere, and it might make it seem like the goals that you set in motion is unattainable. But the question that you want to ask yourself is, are you still willing enough to do what is necessary to implement the discipline and the processes that's important to be able to still pursue after those goals? And so I have with me tonight Germaine, no one. That's, even though it says Armani, it looks like number one, but it's actually no one, and that's the stage name. And so at the age of 10, he's been in pursuit of from a passion that he heard from his mother, been in pursuit of a musical career. And we already know that there's some musical artists who always, when they tell a story, how they had to struggle so hard before they actually accomplished or got to the point, the goal that they wanted to do. So going back to you, Germaine, before we just talk about this brief information commercial, are there any goals that you set for yourself for 2022? Talking about this year, and how are you doing with those goals?
So I can say that I've achieved. So I've set a few goals. I'm halfway there at this point. And that's happy to say. A huge goal was again to secure another line of, financial means to, give to my baby, which is my
Mm-hmm.
art. So, let's feed the baby, but also like let's keep the lights on in the house so you can feed the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a chance to do that. And it's also just working on my artistry. So releasing more content and things like that. So I'm halfway there, but definitely. And again, one of my major goals is also just be kind to yourself, where I'm taking time to get off of social media and like unplug and go back and kind of regenerate and
Mm.
come back. So that's also another goal I've accomplished as well.
That's interesting, because every time we think about it, especially in that your genre of age, we think about, it's so much push about you got to be on social media for people to be seen. You got to be on Instagram, got to be on Facebook. You need to be seen. You need to promote your stuff. And to hear you say that you even set a goal where you are disconnecting yourself from social media, that's very powerful. What was behind the mindset of that to actually do that?
You just kind of get irritated, and social media is just it's a show that everybody put on, so you don't know what's real, you don't know what's not. There is valuable information on there, but then there's also so much other random information that isn't valuable, and it just becomes cluttered and too much. And again, it's not saying like I quit social media because I need social media to promote my artistry, but I'm saying like, okay, let me get off. I'll see y'all next week. Like I'll be back. Y'all, I dropped, a month's worth of content as it is. Like, I'll be back. Y'all see me again. It's just kind of having the ability to say this is too much. Like you just kind of get annoyed and you're just over the antics, and then you're like, oh, this again. And it kind of wastes your time as well, especially if you're like in your phone all day. You're missing what's going on in the actual world.
Okay. You know what? I liking what you're saying. You're taking a step back to do a reflection. You're taking that moment to think about how far you come and what you have to do. I know in today, every morning, ladies and gentlemen, every morning on Effective Living and our coaches, he has we're part of our group coaching program. And this is what it is. It's a group of people, all of us who come together. And what we're doing is we're receiving the strategies and the nuggets that's going to help us to be able to progressively move forward, not only in our goals in our life, but then how we could structure our life where we are accomplishing that which we are setting into place. And one of the good things that I do like about what he was saying, Coach was saying in the blog, he said, we want to live our life where we are progressively moving forward, and goals will help us to do that simply. Then it says like things like busy work or laziness, if we're real, can hold us back. But more often, that's not it. It's fear that stops us from reaching goal. Fear. So let's talk about it. Have you ever had that fear that crept in that hindered you from possibly maybe taking your craft, that baby, as you said, protecting that baby to a whole nother level?
Yeah, there has been times where I would say that I can give an example where I one time I had a show, and I was inviting people to come, and everybody come see me, and then people were kind of canceling on me. So like people kind of was like
Mm.
dropping out and like, okay, I can't make it, I can't make it, I can't make it. And that kind of was like stressing me out because I'm like, okay, who am I going to perform to? If it's just three people like there, what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't even want to do it anymore. But then I'm like, okay, I gotta do it. But then I had like this custom made outfit. I put it on, and the day before I loved it, and I was like, turning up in it. And now I put it on. I'm like, I don't like this. I hated it. Then I put something else on, and I'm like, this is terrible too. And I'm like, wait, I needed to like nothing could like calm me down because I was just so anxious. Well, what I did was I put on that custom outfit that I got. I'm like, you paid for this, you got this made, this hot, you know. And I went to the location, and whoever showed up, and I still did my thing. I didn't let that deter me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, originally I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it was just that the voice in the back of your head just saying like, you don't want to do this anymore. Nobody's there. Nobody's going to see you. Nobody's going to be there to give you energy or support you. Those were kind of the thoughts that were kind of drifting around in my head.
Okay, we're gonna come back and talk about that in a minute. We'll show this little brief commercial. One of the things I want to let you guys know, ladies and gentlemen, is that effective living is all about taking control of your life. It's all about focusing on that thing and making sure that we don't give up, but we are in pursuit. Remember, failure is not something that says you fail and you give up, but failure or even a lack of is the opportunities that's made for you to be able to not only exercise your breakthrough muscle, but exercise your get back muscle, your comeback muscle. That's going to allow you to be able to even pursue and even accomplish the goals, but press through what might seem like to be the hindrances. And one of the good things about the effective living, especially in Coach Ricardo's book, effective living, a tool, which is a guide that helps us to be able to live our life where we don't need to take a vacation from. If you don't have this book, and we're going to talk about it and show it, you really need to get it because it's truly a tool. It's a tool that we use, and the information that's listed on inside of this book, oh my gosh, it's so powerful because even then he talks about how he overcame some things and how he was able to accomplish his goal and still pressing to accomplish his goal. So take a look briefly at this brief commercial and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for a captivating speaker for your next group meeting or event? Book Coach Ricardo Miller. His turnaround story is inspiring, and as a leader's leader, he is committed to holistic development. Whether virtual or in person, Coach Ricardo will deliver a message for your conference, workshop, seminar, or retreat, in the United States or around the world, that will be unforgettable and life-enhancing. Visit www.ricardomiller.com for more information.
All right. We want to thank you for being back here. I don't know. There we go. Want to thank you for being back with us as we are continuing to talk on our platform tonight about unaccomplished goals. And I have with me tonight, Germaine No One, who has been really powerful testimonies and conversations that you've been discussing relating to your goals and your artistry. And then, some people would classify, music as in some cases can be ministry. In your case, I know it's hip hop, but then the people that you're reaching, I'm quite sure is looking forward to what you have to share. Now, you mentioned something about at the end before we went on our break about those things that we was dealing with the fear about those things you had to implement and put in. What are some of the steps and the actions that you had implemented to try to help you move you forward to accomplishing a few of the goals that you was trying to achieve?
Yeah. So, what I kind of do is there are situations where I may have those thoughts or, I may have that anxiety, and have that anxious energy. And kind of what I do is just allow myself to be present, so I'm like really quiet. If anybody kind of have seen me before a show or things like that, you will know I'm like really quiet. I'm not talking. I'm not doing a lot. Like, and I'm usually like very active, running around, laughing, talking about people. But I'm like very to myself. I'm like, just kind of waiting until I could get to that stage and kind of taking a breath and kind of centering myself before I go up there. And then when I go up there, that switch, it flips, and it's kind of like those thoughts, those ideas, it all goes away because I'm doing something that I truly enjoy, and it's the performance. That's my favorite part of being an artist. It's just that performance aspect of it, just having that energy and getting up in front of a crowd, because a lot of people don't know how hard it is, first of all, to get up and speak in front of people. So that's already like step one. So you're speaking, you're doing this, and you're doing like music with it in front of people. I don't think people really understand like the level of like confidence and like strength that takes like alone, because
So question for you. So do you have what you want to say or what you trying to, is that internally in your mind, or is this something that you written down as a part of your process of really moving forward to your goal, and then you memorized it, you studied it. What is some of the things, what have you done? I mean, have you, like, when we talking about trying to go for your goals, are these goals that you've written down? These goals that you just internalize? What are some of the things that you do?
So it's an internalized goals. No, I don't. I write. Well, long term. I know what the long term goal is, so that one is internalized. But the smaller goals, I may write those down or kind of mark those down. Kind of check off, what I have to do to give myself, a roadmap as to where I'm gonna go, and that could just be either prepping content or kind of saying, okay, you're gonna do this all week on social media, or you're gonna release this. Kind of doing that aspect of it. So kind of chipping away at the major goal, little by little.
So there, see, those are some words that we say all the time. That they say, "How do you eat an elephant?" It says one small bite at a time, right? And so this is what our coaches teaches us. It's about when we're talking about accomplishing a goal, especially the long-term goal. We're not trying to eat it all at once, but we chip away, exactly what you just said, at those things. And it's interesting on how the way you began to use those terminologies and those words, chipping away, and then you said checking off. So what I'm hearing you say is that you write your goals down, and you have before you like a to-do list, and then from these to-do lists, that's what you normally do first. So would you consider that to being your very first step? And when we're talking about focusing on accomplishing goals?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, do you think that cross genre, that crosses age groups or barriers? If you had somebody within your age group, what would be the first thing you said to them about if they feel in some kind of way of not accomplishing their goals and they just feel like it's just over? What would you say to someone that's in your age group that would feel that way?
I would just ask them, like, what do you want to do? Like, often when we kind of get mad, we lose sight of the big goal. So what do you want to do? We get caught on the small things leading up to the big goal, because if you're tripping on that, then you're not looking at the big goal. So kind of stepping back, what do you want to do? They'll say it. I'll be like, okay, what have you done? So this way we can analyze and see what path you took. And then I'll be like, okay, why don't you do X, Y, and Z? So kind of figure out another way to accomplish your goals. Again, especially if you're putting, two heads are better than one. So, putting those and sharing those ideas will help us kind of come up with something.
When you think about goals, what about people? What are people coming to play when you talk about accomplishing goals, or what are people coming to play when you have a scenario where you wasn't able to accomplish the goal? What do you think people come into play? Have you had a scenario where you was striving for something and you had individuals who was around you who was either negative Annie or who was your greatest cheerleader? What kind of experience you had in that arena?
No, I've had both. I've had, the people, who say they support, or, who say, they're here and they there. But then when you look out, you don't see them. And you see a I'm sorry message, or this is my favorite one. When's the next show?
You said what you did? You just threw your hands up. You said, "Wow." How's that when you did that? What was going on through your mind when they say what's the next show and you was like, yeah, okay. What was that?
I just said, I don't know. You just have to look and see. I don't give it any energy because I feel like that's like somebody, and it's kind of, this is very dramatic, but this is also how it's in my music. So imagine like you're getting married, because you're putting on the production, you're putting on the entire thing, you're getting married, and then the person don't come, and then you see them another day, and they're like, when's the next marriage? It's kind of like you should have been at that one. It's if you wanted to support, you would have been at that one, or kind of said something in regards to that one. So these are usually the people that don't say nothing, or they say something that, in the 11th hour, I'm not going to come, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to be able to help you do that. So it's usually those people.
Okay. I want to talk about, the word smart. Have you, we talked about unaccomplished goals. We talked about, the fact that we got to have a higher level of discipline, the fact that we have to stay focused and we need to be really in tune and not have the spirit of give up. So have you heard of the acronym or the term SMART goals before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so let's take a look at, the acronyms of the word SMART. And let's break it down a little bit in the sense of when we're talking about where we believe, people should be at. Because you just said something very key, in the sense of, like, if you rely so much on people more than likely, if it's not their goal, they're not going to be as interested in what you're doing. They're either going to say they're going to support you or they don't. And oftentimes you've seen where they haven't. So when you think about your goals, I want you to have it in mind when we go over the acronyms of the SMART. Where does that fit into where you're talking about your goals? And if you ever had experience where any of that was not obtainable, we know that in the S in the word SMART stands for being specific, that your goals need to be specific. And when we say specific, that means sensible, simple, and significant. What is your thoughts about your goals being significant, sensible, and simple? Have any of your goals been one that's like you thought about it? It's like, okay, maybe I didn't make it as easy or as simple as possible, and you have to reinvent it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or just simply just saying, we can just say it's like a small goal, like um going to the gym at 5 a.m. I set that specifically. I wanted to specifically do that, having that ability to kind of build myself up and be up in the morning, once you go to the gym, you get the energy, you're able to conquer the entire day. So, I set that goal of specifically getting up and going to the gym at 5 a.m.
Okay. Let's look at the M, measurable. When we talk about measurable, something meaningful and motivating. What motivates you? What's meaningful behind your art and your craft that you're doing right now? What's your motivation?
What motivates me? Just the ability to share, what my content and how I'm feeling about, the song. Each song is about a specific message. I only have like maybe 2 songs that's not really talking about nothing, but like everything else is talking about something. There is a
Okay.
story to be held, and just having the ability to share with other people and for people to relate, one of my songs is called White, and it's pretty much talking about, cutting somebody off, cutting out the toxicity in your life, is, cut them off, got to chop them. People come up to me and was like, that part, yeah, I relate to how.
So it made it relatable. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the A in achieve? A standing for achievable, something that is attainable or agreed, achievable. Has there been a connection with you with the A? That what is it that you was able to achieve or obtain in your career?
Yeah, I can definitely say the ability to actually help people. I've done like fundraisers, I've raised money for the Special Olympics and things like that. And for like the Boys and Girls Club, and other like grassroots community programs and things like that, I've helped raise money for them. And I said that that's a big part of why I enjoy doing this, that ability to give back to people and kind of say, here's my art. We can put this money and we can put all of the earnings from this into something important. And, those moments, you can't replicate that. Like, you can't get that anywhere. Like, those are extremely genuine moments.
Okay. What about the R for relevant? Relevant stands for when we say something is relevant, it's reasonable, realistic, resource, and results oriented. That's what your goals need to be. Ladies and gentlemen, as I'm breaking these acronyms down, I'm breaking them down, but I'm also asking our special guest to apply them to whether or not do he see these goals, what smart is in his achieving his career. And so we talked about S being specific, which really relates to something simple, keeping your goals simple, sensible, something that's really significant. That means setting yourself up for it to be measurable, something that you is motivating, something that you can achieve. That's what the A comes in for. From to achievable, with something that's been agreed and attainable. And then R means relevant. And when we say something that's relevant, something's reasonable, realistic, resource, and results oriented. As an artist, what would you classify as a result oriented goal as an artist?
Okay, I'll give an example of when I wanted to say I wanted to be a producer and produce more of my own music. So, I pursued that. I discovered that it is extremely difficult to do it by myself. So thinking about like how can I connect myself with this, I kind of connected myself with other producers and just took that co-producer seat where I can kind of describe what I want, what's going on, how I want things, and the arrangement of whatever element of the song may be, and then they can come with their technical information and guide me along. So, I'm painting the picture and they just tell me what brushes to use to do what I need to do.
Okay.
That kind of had me being realistic. It's very
Mm-hmm.
hard, to use that software and to just hop out and start editing that software and then for it to be extremely quality. That's not realistic. You have to put time into like production and having that software. People go to school for years and years and years, and then they're in the field doing this as well. So it wouldn't be realistic for me to say I'm going to be a producer right now, where I would need to build those skills up gradually. So just
Okay.
be realistic and accepting that I can't hop out the gate and do it. I can kind of
Mm-hmm.
connect with somebody and kind of learn and kind of take that
Mm-hmm.
understudy position. So when I'll be able to learn, I'll be able to do it.
One of the things that we talk about in our effective living program here is that God has already placed and always have those individuals that's there who's been designed and set to help us. And just as you talk about, you might want to go into producing, you still had to reach out to somebody that was there that could be able to help you to accomplish the goal that you want, which was, of course, the video that you was trying to establish. That's really, really good. And then T is representing time bound. That means time based, time limited, and time sensitive. That means you are giving into account the fact of how much time you actually going to put into an implement. What would you want to say as relates to now? Do you believe, are you at this point thinking that what you've been doing as relates to your goal, this is the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I can say one time based goal I recently did was, I wanted to get my last video that I shot, yesterday. I wanted to get it done, as soon as I got the funds to do it. So that was literally a month where, come up with the full production costs, for the video. And that's, the videographer, the wardrobe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all of that, the locations, because you're booking sets. I don't want to be in the street, or in front of somebody grandma house, so you gotta book the sets and stuff like that. And that was a goal I set, like, okay, you got a month, so I wasn't like going out constantly or, spending money. I was like really saving up and kind of moving towards that goal, because I'm like, you only have a month, like there's no time. I have other things planned. I want to drop a new song, in the summer. So it's like you literally have to shoot the video now so you can get it out now and do it now so you can continue out, with the plans you've set.
Okay, very good comments. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, we're having a very good conversation with my special guest, Germaine Armani No One, who is really sharing it from a millennial perspective, because I really believe that when we think about goals, and especially when we're talking about unaccomplished goals, it has no age, it has no culture. So just as we teach our children when they're younger to pursue after their goals of either whatever they say they want to become, because we set these ideas, and they say, hey, what do you want to be in life? And most of the time they say, oh, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a police officer, I want to be an artist, I want to be an actress. And these are goals, but then life itself comes into play, and then sometimes it could block us, it could hinder us, and it could even stop us from actually being able to move forward and accomplish those goals. I know there's many things that I had desired to do, but I could say either because of procrastination, complacency. Those are two words that we definitely need to get rid of as part of our mindset. It does take a higher level of discipline, in order for us to do the things that God has birthed into us to do, to accomplish. So my final conversation and final question and thought with you, Germaine, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. You've been dropping little bombs as being 25-ish or so. Go ahead with your little self, Mr. Artist. One question, I want you to hear this comment or this statement that I think is interesting, but it was a quote by Confucius, the Chinese philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
And he says this: when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. Let me read that again. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps. What's your intake on that? What he said?
I agree.
Don't adjust the goals, adjust the action step. Why would you agree? What part of that do you agree to mostly? Don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps, or what?
Adjust the action steps. Because
okay, tell me
why. People always say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. When we're faced with adversity, we're challenged to switch it up. We're challenged to do something else. If we really want that goal, if we really want what's on the other side of that door, we're going to switch it up. We're going to figure out how to get around it. And my friends will tell you, I am the king of getting around something, whether it be for like a video shoot, something crazy. I may have a crazy idea and they'll be like, okay, this will cost this much money. And then I'll come up with something in a different version, and they'll be like, okay, I see what you did there. Kind of like, you're going to make your own way. You're going to make it. So I definitely understand and relate to that. You have to switch it up, until you achieve that goal.
Then my final question then, are there any action steps? I want you to think about if you were having someone in your age bracket, 25 and up, and they came to you, they said, man, I've been chasing this goal, I've been chasing after, I see what so-and-so, I see what you're doing, and what you're doing look like it's successful, and you're moving forward. So I'm like, I really think that I can do the same thing. But instead of them chasing after their goals, they're chasing out what they believe you have is successful. Is there any action steps that you would say to them that they need to reconsider or to consider when it's talking about accomplishing goals, or even trying to restructure, as they say, adjusting their goals for any unaccomplished goals? What would you say to somebody who's coming to you saying that to you?
I would say, first, success isn't a uniform thing. The way some people may see success, that may not be true. Some people may see success as having, $100,000 in their bank, making, $10,000 a month or whatever job, and they see that as successful. Other people may just see having a full-time job with benefits and the ability to pay their bills. That's successful. So I would say, what would success look for you? Don't try to achieve someone else's success, as, you're going to have a different path from that person. You're not going to have the same path. So their success may not, you may see it may be glamorous, or, it may be this or that, but you don't know what it took for them to achieve that. So I would say tailor it to yourself and kind of have that as inspiration, but don't base, yourself on that,
Well, you know what? You have just definitely taken me to a whole nother level, and I am just loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me this evening on tonight on our topic, talking about unaccomplished goals. And we already know, hey, this is May. As a matter of fact, this is May 2nd, and this is the 5th month. You know that the number 5 represents grace. And so what am I saying? It is not over. If you have some goals that you actually established and you have set back at the beginning of the month, and now you are in this 5th month of this brand new year, and you feeling some kind of way like, man, I really wanted to do this. I wanted to accomplish this goal. I wanted to finish this goal by at least March. And now you got something going on and you're stirring up in your spirit thinking, time is up. Time is over. Look, time is not up. Time is not over. One of the good things about what the statement that we said as it relates to the quote, don't adjust the goals, adjust your action steps. That means it is still enough time in this year to turn the situation around. Turn it around so that if you was lacking something, missing anything, something that maybe was not fit, that you can restructure, you can reposition yourself to accomplish still what you had set out to do at the beginning of the year. Here on Effective Living, that's what we are. We are in pursuit of accomplishing the goals that we set. That means going to another level. We're not trying to stay at the same stagnant and being like the same status quo, but we're talking going to level to level to level. And, one of the good things that I love about our coach is the fact that that's what he does. He's not teaching us anything that which he's not doing himself. He's telling us, it's like, look, we got to attack this, chipping away, one thing at a time, chipping away. And that is something that's really, really so awesome with that. And so I welcome you to go to his platform, which is www.ricardomiller.com, and actually take a look and an opportunity to be able to look at some of the events, some of the programs that has to be offered. But we got a very special event that's coming up, which is our cruise that's coming up in October, on October the 10th through the 15th. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. On this cruise, we're going to be doing some great, wonderful things, going to be sharing. It's a time where, sometimes we need to have fun. We need to take that step back, not only learn and process, but then have fun with one another and live out our life to the fullest. So if you are interested in joining us in October on this cruise, I encourage you to go to his website, www.ricardomiller.com. Look up events and then go forth and come join us. I'm telling you, we are going to have a blast and you don't want to miss it. Well, Germaine, I want to thank you for joining me this evening, young man. You had a lot of nuggets that you was dropping, and you were dropping a lot of bombs. And so I'm quite sure that some of your peers who was listening, who was participating in us, should go back, and they definitely going to take an opportunity to listen. And with that being said, I want to thank you again for joining me on this evening. My name is Coach Della Major, and I was your host for tonight on this platform. And I look forward to seeing you again. But Germaine, before I leave, is there information by if somebody wants to share or get in contact to hear a little bit more about you? Is you have how can people reach you?
Yeah, so you all can go to www.armani-music.com. I don't know, can we put that in the chat?
Actually, they see it on there. I'm quite sure it could be there. I'm quite sure you could be. I just see somebody might be there, but as you see here, Armani no1.com. I mean, no one.
Armani-music.com. And again, you can find me on social media, Armani-no.1. You can find me on all streaming platforms as well. I just released a new single. The video is coming soon. So check me out.
All right. Looking forward to that. Well, as that being said, thank you for joining me this evening. I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless.